Time now for Talking Campus, our weekly discussion with members of the College Fix editorial team. Today I'm joined by College Fix assistant editor David Huber to address the recent campus push to subordinate the hard sciences to various left-wing ideologies. Dave, the College Fix has done a wonderful, absolutely wonderful cluster of stories on the politicization of science in the name of progressive advocacy agitprop. We've seen feminist chairs of engineering departments on campus demand an end to the white male engineer. We've seen woke math professors insist that logic and rigor in math are actually a form of white supremacy, and we've seen queer environmentalist professors urge women to have sex with nature in order to legitimize alternative sexualities. Dave, why are we allowing science on campus to be co-opted by such utterly non-scientific, indeed anti-scientific practices?
Well, Duke, in a nutshell, those that are practicing the hard sciences are petrified of going up against prevailing orthodoxy in this case. They're afraid of being protested. They're afraid of being shouted down. Protesters, demonstrators showing up outside their offices. And who can blame them?
Yeah, I can testify to what you're saying. As having been on campus myself for 25 years, there is a chill wind, if I may use a famous progressive statement. There is a chill wind blowing over free speech on college campuses that science itself, despite all of its rigor and logic, despite how what goes on in the laboratories is verified and experimented with and proven, that's not enough to protect you from angry left-wing radicals. And one of the things that we've seen over and over again, Dave, is that the so-called party of science, the academic left, when it comes to things like gender, when it comes to things like sexuality, when it comes to things like economics, they're really quite anti-science, aren't they?
Quite a bit. Everything is seen through a social justice lens now. Everything is seen through, the socio-heteropatriarchy. There's a group at the University of Cape Town in South Africa where the very fact that science, they say that science is a vestige of colonialism and thus must be done away with. Claiming that, for example, being able to call down lightning upon anybody that you want is just another way of looking at things, and it's on the same level as Isaac Newton's theory of gravity. Fortunately, when they brought that up, they were met with a little bit of chuckles, but immediately those it did were forced to apologize.
I love the fact that you use the phrase calling down lightning. For all of this anti-science dialectic, because that's what this is, it is a kind of new paganism, isn't it? This idea that we have an environmentalist professor arguing that if she and her partner go out, filmed a video of her and her partner having sex in nature, with nature, rolling around in the mud. It's a kind of neo-paganism, isn't it? Ironically, the anti-science left isn't rational. They're inventing a kind of new religion that, as you said, at the University of Cape Town, that the entire scientific method, because it was used by countries or invented by countries who happen to be colonialist nations, the entire premise of science is now violated. That strikes me as awfully ritualistic and pagan.
Well, yeah, that's the whole, you just nailed it. The fact that it, back in the day, Western colonialism, mainly male, that is the whole driving force behind this. White, male, Western powers, any way to, do away with any aspect of that entire, whole notion. It has to be done away with. Any way they can nitpick at it, whether it's science, and this is obviously what we're getting into. Now science is probably the last thing that they can go after. And this is, unfortunately, this is where it gets to be really ridiculous. So when you're dealing with things in the humanities, you could deal with theory and sociology and anthropology all you want. But when you start getting into the science, this is where you start really becoming pretty much a laughing stock when you start trying to do away with, science. And ironically, the left is the one that'll say, oh, we're the party of science.
So Dave, how do we fix this? What do we do on campus to make sure that science has a really important seat at the table and it's not undercut in these really disturbing ways?
It's not a hard victory to win, Duke. Basically, if anybody on the outside looking in sees what's going on, it's not very difficult to take a side on this. If you have, for example, that calling down lightning via black magic versus people like Isaac Newton Albert Einstein, their theories. Which side are you going to take? The professors, administrators, conservative campus groups, libertarian groups, you have to get a little bit of a backbone. Not be afraid. Basically, those on the side of this black magic and et cetera nonsense, they're very, very vocal, but that's about it. Again, anybody, if you're a tuition-paying parent or anybody else looking in, it's a very easy side to take, and you're not going to lose this one. In particular, when it comes to hard science.
Dave, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm an English professor, so when I argue these things, it's shut up, white man, you're an English professor. But science may be the one area on campus where if scientists united, and that includes women scientists, there's a number of them, right? Many of them. Women scientists who don't want to see the scientific method undercut by this silly sociology. If scientists actually banded together and pushed back, I think on campus they could win this in ways that other professors of different genres, different areas of studies can't. Dave Huber, assistant editor at the College Fix, thank you so much for your time today. Be sure to stay up on all the latest news and information from the College Fix editors by joining us on our social media platforms.